Now, when Charles Ramsey heard screaming coming from his neighbour's house in Cleveland, Ohio, he thought it was a case of domestic violence. But when he went to investigate, he found something that has shocked America. The desperate woman was Amanda Berry, who'd been missing for the last decade. Police later discovered 2 other women who had also disappeared around a decade ago, imprisoned in the home. Well, our Washington correspondent Matt Fry is in Cleveland now. Matt.
Well, Kathy, you set the scene up very poignantly there. Just imagine what happened here behind me less than 24 hours ago. Amanda Berry, who was 16 years old when she was kidnapped, in one of those houses behind me, her hand sticking through a door that she couldn't open because it was chained shut, and at the same time screaming for help. One of the neighbors comes along to help her. He kicks down the door. He drags her out. She calls the police. 2 other young women emerged from the house, as well as a young girl. And remember, 2 of these women had been looked for by the police for years, and the police basically gave them up for dead. Now, the women have been released from hospital. They are in incredibly good physical form and have been reunited with their families. And we also, just in the last few minutes, received pictures of the suspects, the Castro brothers, 3 men in their 50s. And in the middle, Ariel Castro, 52 years old. He was the owner of that house, one of the houses behind me, a school bus driver. He played in a local salsa band. He played the bass. He was perhaps not a pillar of the community, but well known to this community, and has left this neighborhood here with many vexing questions indeed. Seymour Avenue on the south side of Cleveland. Not the best address, but not the very worst either. A gritty working-class street where everybody knew everybody and their business, or so they thought. What they didn't know was that number 2207 was a jail for over a decade for 3 women and a young girl until last night.
Cleveland 911.
Hello, please. Help me. I'm Amanda Berry. I need police.
Okay, and what's going on there?
I've been kidnapped and I've been missing for 10 years, and I'm here. I'm free now.
Amanda Berry was 16 when she was abducted on the eve of her birthday after finishing her shift at a Burger King less than a mile from here. Her friend and co-worker can't forget that night.
The first day that she went missing, we walked out and we had a smoke and we were going to party because it was her birthday, and she just never came home after she walked down the street. I never seen her again.
Amanda's mother died of grief looking for her lost daughter. The city mounted one of the biggest manhunts in its history and then gave up. Yesterday, Amanda seized a moment of her captor's absence to escape and ring the police from a neighbor's cell phone.
I'm Amanda Berry. I've been on the news for the last 10 years. What?
Hey, the police are on the way. Talk to them when they get there.
She couldn't have done it alone. Charles Ramsey, a neighbor, became the hero of the hour.
Hey, check this out. This broad is trying to work out the house next door to me. She needs everything. She's in a panic, bro. I guess she's been kidnapped, so, put yourself in her shoes.
He and a friend heard screams and kicked down the door that allowed Amanda and the others to escape.
I hear some girl screaming, and I look, and I see this girl, and she just going nuts on the door. So I'm like, what's your problem? You stuck? Just open the door. And she says, I can't. He got it locked. And I look how he has it, and it's only enough to reach a hand out to grab the mail and, close the door. And we, naturally gonna pry it open. That didn't work, so we had to kick open the bottom. Luckily on that door was aluminum. It was cheap. And she climbed out with her daughter. She went to my house. We called 911. All right. Then when the police get here, she says there's 3 more girls up there.
The other captives, Gina DeJesus. She was a 14-year-old schoolgirl when she was kidnapped 9 years ago. Given up for dead by the authorities, her mother always believed that she was alive. And Michele Knight, 20 years old at the time of her abduction 11 years ago. Her parents had assumed that she'd run away from home after a family row. And the young girl, Amanda's daughter, born in captivity, the child of her captor, perhaps. We don't know yet. There's so much that no one knows, but everyone wants to know here on Seymour Avenue. Firstly, there's the uncle of Ariel Castro, the man who lived at number 2207, the alleged kidnapper, who's now in police custody with his 2 brothers. He said that he feels terribly ashamed for what his 3 nephews did, and absolutely no idea that they were involved in this. He's been living here for more than 40 years, and he's just flabbergasted. Then there are the neighbors, a quilt of different reactions. The man who lived immediately next door lost for words with the silent shame of ignorance. So this happened right next door. I mean, how extraordinary is that?
Speechless.
Did you hear anything from the cellar? Anything at all? Was there anything suspicious?
No.
I mean, it's astonishing to think that, you know, here you are cheek by jowl with this house and there were 3, possibly 4 people kept captive.
Yes.
How does that make you feel?
Bad.
Others we spoke to were torn between horror, relief, and disbelief.
I mean, just to actually pass the house and not know that they're right there. Oh, my God.
Did you know the brothers who were arrested?
No.
Did you ever see
Seeing
them?
them around the neighborhood, yeah, all the time, yeah.
And what were they like? I mean,
normal people.
He was a good guy, friendly, good guy. We never thought that he was doing this.
And then there was Elsa Cintron, who was less surprised by her neighbor's alleged crime and had once tried to alert the police about the bizarre events at number 2207. And what did your granddaughter see?
She literally told me she saw a lady back there crawling naked.
And when was that?
It was around May, if I'm right. She was up on the porch with her friend, and she saw the lady naked being, I guess, told to crawl into the house or whatever it was.
Did you ring the police?
Yeah, I told her. And she said to go get a detective. That was in July, though, that I saw the police, and I told the lady, because I knew her. I thought maybe if you know the police officer, they do something about it. She said, find a detective. If they take your case, then you're okay.
Right, and so you didn't pursue it anymore?
No, I didn't. Because if it gets out, sometimes around here, if it gets out, then you're the bad person, you know?
Seymour Avenue is a snapshot of today's America. Part black, part Hispanic, part white. Here, everyone lived cheek by jowl, and yet they kept their distance. A collection of families, but not quite a community, with grotesque secrets locked in one basement. Now, when we arrived here this morning, you didn't have this police cordon. In fact, it was very easy just to walk up and down the street right in front of the house and, of course, talk to the neighbors who had plenty of things to say. And one of the things I find really fascinating is that the neighborhood community is divided between those who think that the Castro brothers, especially Ariel Castro, was really quite a good guy, used to come over for barbecues or have a beer, and was someone they didn't mind hanging out with, and then others who say it was all a bit creepy. For instance, the people in the house right next to me didn't allow their children to walk past the house, number 2207, because they didn't like what they saw there, including, as one of the neighbors described, that naked woman being dragged on the ground. The girl was spotted in an upstairs window. Everything else was always shut down. There were no doorknobs on the outside of the house anywhere, just on the inside, and plenty of chains. And one other really eerie detail, one of the Castro brothers was comforting the mother of one of the girls who was kidnapped just up the road, where they were digging up the back garden after some false information about a body that might be there, the body of Gina. And he said, basically, here, you know, we're with you, we feel your pain. And of course, he was one of the kidnappers. He was doing this, alleged kidnappers. He was doing this all the time. So plenty of questions, how this was allowed to happen, how it wasn't noticed, did the police do enough, and what exactly does it look like in there? Back to you, Christian.
Thanks, Matt.